Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Get Out of Rap. This is an X's special, and I'm really pleased to be joined by Moira Clark and Jackie Pringle. Jackie's been on the show many times, but this is the first time of meeting Moira. Moira is the new chair of judges for the European Contact Center and Customer Service Awards. It's great to have, oh, and I should say, Professor of Strategic Marketing and director and founder of Henley Centre for Customer Management. And the Henley Centre, I know a few people that have gone there. Great centre, but it's lovely to meet you both. Well, Jackie, great to see you again, and Moira, lovely to meet you.
Thanks, Martin. Great. Good to meet you too.
So we were just talking before hitting record why you're such a great fit to be the chair of the judges. You know, the X's, as we call them, have come to be known as the Oscars of our industry. But can we just get a little bit of background about you, like what, you know, your history? And I mean, it's great. Professor of Strategic Marketing. I'm very impressed.
Thank you. Well, do you know, Martin, I haven't always been an academic. Actually, I did come from industry, and actually a number of different jobs. But my most recent one before I joined academia was to be a consultant based out in Munich in Germany. And so I've always, you know, I've come from industry, love business and so forth. And then when I joined academia and joined business school, I love that interface between industry and what business schools can offer. So that's really how I came to this and became a professor at Henley Business School. Since I've been at Henley, of course, I set up the Henley Centre for Customer Management, which is a kind of consortium of companies who are interested in leading edge best practice in any aspect of customer management. And these organizations tell us what keeps them awake at night, what the challenges are that they're facing, and then we go and research those topics. But over the years, actually, I've been a judge myself of a number of different awards. I have probably been to more contact centers and more organizations around the country than you could imagine, actually. And what I absolutely, totally adore about that is the fact that all the organizations are so different, and they bring so much to the party. You learn so much from going around these different organizations, and you might look at somebody in financial services and somebody in telecoms and somebody in pharmaceuticals, but the crossover of the learning from each of them is really just amazing. So I have lived and breathed this whole subject really for all of my career, in fact. So I'm really proud that you've invited me, and privileged actually to do this job. So this is my first time as a chair of the judges, so that would be really quite exciting. And what I'm hoping with that actually is to bring that level of fairness and impartiality to the role, you know, so that I can kind of sit over that. And I know that Jackie this week actually has invited, I think it's over 100 people, isn't it, Jackie, to come and judge the awards. And she's had an amazing response to that. And, you know, we're again so pleased that, you know, the judges will give up their time freely for this, because it's a big undertaking and a big responsibility to make sure that you really do choose the best individuals and the best organizations to win the awards.
Yeah.
Oh, well, very well said. And Jackie, maybe just talk to that then. You've gone out to the judges and everyone's keen as mustard.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, every year when we go out to invite the judges, you know, because circumstances change for people in you know, over time. So I always check in with my judges and say, would you like to judge again this year? These are the timings. This is what we're doing. This is the type of judging we're doing. So obviously, you know, with the X's, that a lot of the categories are done by what we call panel judging. So where the organisations will prepare a presentation, come along and present that virtually on a platform like this to a panel of judges. So it's like a 20-minute or half hour, depending on the category, presentation, and then 20 minutes Q&A with the judges as well. So a lot of the judging is done like that. So when you think that we've got probably 34-ish categories, we'll probably end with, depending on how many are split and what have you, when we get all the nominations in. But, 34 categories, at least 8 or 10 in a shortlist. Each of those presentations needs 3 or 4 judges. It's a lot of judges, hence why we invite a lot of judges. And obviously it's really important to get all those specialisms as well, so to get those people in the industry that are very strong on data and insight for that category, the people that are very strong on change and innovation for those kind of categories and stuff like that. And then obviously we do the visits, so we will actually do the whole trains, planes and automobiles across Europe, wherever we need to go to visit those categories that are either best new customer contact operation, contact centre of the year, outsourced contact centre of the year, and those great place to work ones, those ones where we need to go, the judges want to go and smell the coffee, they want to look in the whites of people's eyes, they want to look what's up on the walls as well. So when we go out to the judges, we say, what kind of judging do you want to do? If you're doing panel, what dates can you do for me? We give them all the dates. And if they want to do visits, then it's like, okay, how far are you prepared to travel? If you're in the UK, how far are you prepared to travel? If you're up for it, do you want to go out to Europe as well? So it's the start of the jigsaw, Martin, that I always talk about, my great judging jigsaw. I'm getting my first pieces in place. But yeah, it's always a really nice part of the year because, like I say, you write to all your judges and there's always some new judges that are coming through as well, previous winners. And people that have been, recommended by their peers. If somebody can't do it this year, but they say, do you know what, I've got this person, and they're really keen to judge and they've been in the industry for this long. And then so we'll talk to them and we'll make sure that they are the right fit for what we need for this year's jury. And so it's nice because you then get that, oh, I can't do it this year because we've got this transformation project delivering, or, people, I've got personal circumstance, had somebody that I found out having their second baby, so they can't do it. So it's a real sort of nice kind of reconnect with all those people and that community, if you like, of judges, to catch up with where everybody's up to and what's happening. And yeah, so, as Moira said, it's a big responsibility. The judges love it. They get so much from it. And we love that they give the right experience, because we don't want it to be scary and daunting, but we want it to be robust. And what we've got here is a pool of judges that do exactly that for us, that make the finalists feel relaxed and they enjoy the session. But at the same time, that level of questioning is, absolutely spot on, because we've got the right judges for the right categories. And as you can see, headed up by Moira, who's absolutely perfect for the role. And I loved, Moira, there that you said about that breadth of organisations as well, because what we get in the Exers is small and large organisations, but we get all kinds of organisations from all kinds of sectors. So, it's such a great fit with the other half of what you're doing in terms of what keeps people awake. And then what you've got over here is what people think they're doing really well. So it's fab that we've got that span.
And Jackie, I don't think you can really underestimate as well the learning that people gain going through the whole process and learning from each other. It Absolutely. Is amazing, actually. So, if somebody does enter, they might not win the first time, or maybe, whatever, but what they've learned from that whole process is just fantastic, really. And hopefully they then come back and they then do, they then do progress the next time round. But I think it's amazing that they can do that.
We see that. We do see that a lot more, and we see that, like you say, the finalists come off their judging. That people even say to me right from the offset, putting the nomination together is a really good learning, because it makes people in our industry, we're all 100 miles an hour, aren't we? And so it makes people stop, sit back and think, how far have we come? What have we done? What have we achieved? How far have we come? Oh, actually, that was brilliant. And then the judging and the questions really make people think, the questions that they get at the judging. And then, like you say, whatever the outcome, people can ask for feedback. And we do see people come back, say, stronger and stronger. So yeah, brilliant.
You both make such a good point. I think having been involved in the past as a judge, and now media partner, there, and as an entrant as well, you know, there is something about that being the process allows you to take a look at what you're doing and to give you, you know, even just some of the questions that judges ask and think, you know, you think if you're in it to learn and you're in it to, you know, celebrate your team or celebrate an achievement, there is so many gains. You can't lose. You know, it's to your point, Moira. You might not win, but you will definitely gain something. You'll gain a view of where your project or contact center is at. You'll benefit from having people ask you questions where you think, oh, you know what, that's great. And I think, Jackie, you've talked in the past about people that have come and maybe they've not even placed, and then they've come back the next year and they've demonstrated their improvements and that they've taken on board the learnings, and then they've placed, and then they've gone on the third year maybe to win, you know. So I think we kind of love those stories, don't we?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And the other part of that, while we're talking about learning, is the last couple of years, what we've done is invited the gold winners to share their stories at a 3-day virtual event called The Exchange. And that's normally in March. So obviously the winners are announced at the end of November. And then in March, we run this event like a virtual conference where, you know, gosh, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people registered and attended. You don't have to attend the whole 3 days. You just dip in and out for the presentations that you're interested in. And that's been wonderful as well, because, you know, not only this is all about raising standards in the industry, raising standards, not just contact centers, but customer service. And so I think, you know, we're all pulling in the same direction, but the fact that those winners don't have to share their stories, and sometimes they have to take out some bits for confidentiality reasons and what have you. But what we find in the most is that those winners want to share what they're doing well, and for the benefit of others. And so hopefully we're seeing that ripple effect of, you know, oh, I saw that great initiative over there, or they talked about that and they've taken it back into their workplace, and the whole thing is just moving up, you know. So that's been wonderful to see this last couple of years that's come out of these brilliant awards. So yeah, really proud.
I don't know whether. Oh, sorry,
No,
Martin.
go on, Moira.
I was going to say, you can always edit this out if it's too long, but, you know, I always have this absolutely fabulous memory of a small charity who did this, who was at an awards ceremony, and this huge, I better leave it nameless, big, massive distribution company. And they were doing a presentation, and they said one of their initiatives had been to, you know, to say to their staff, if they could come up with an idea that improves service, but it could only cost £20. And I'm thinking, wow, that's amazing, because, you know, they could have spent hundreds of thousands, if not millions of pounds, if they'd wanted to. And as they're saying this, the table behind me starts to ripple and go, oh, and they're all talking. And it transpired that this huge distribution company had heard this tiny, weeny, small charity do this the year before, and had thought, what a fantastic idea. And they had done it, and this mere sort of £20 initiative had saved them millions, because they did manage to improve their processes so much. It was really great. Because this small charity was so thrilled that their little idea had been taken on board by this massive company. It was just really cute.
I love that. And Moira, with, you know, you are so busy with everything that you are doing. You were talking again before we hit record on just how hectic your week is. But why, you know, being asked to be chair of the judges, why was that important? Why did you think, yeah, you know what, I'm going to do this?
Oh, because I am so passionate about improving service generally, not only for customers and clients and so forth, but also improving the whole experience for staff themselves. You know, I actually did my PhD, in fact, some years ago now, but on what improves customer retention from an employee point of view. So that whole, you know, the whole chain, if you like, from colleagues, staff, you know, all the way through to the customer, I think is massively important. And what I love about these awards is it really does take on all the different elements, as you say, customer insight, data management, innovation, creativity. And none of that happens really unless you look after that whole process. So I just love it. And that's what I live and breathe really. So it was such a treat to be asked to do this. And I'm so pleased to be able to find the time to do it.
And what are you most looking forward to?
Oh, wow. Well, Jackie, I'm really hoping that I can actually get out and go and do some of the visits because that really brings it alive, I think. What I'm also looking forward to are those nuggets, those juicy stories where you go, wow, that is such a good idea. Or people have taken something simple and made it into something really a big competitive advantage or a big differentiator.
Yeah.
You think, why didn't anybody else think of that? That is such a good idea. So I'm looking forward to those, and also those human stories as well, listening to the people piece. I just love that. And I don't know whether your judges do this or not, Jackie, but when I used to judge, we always used to go off piste a little bit, you know, because you go have a little quiet chat to the cleaning lady or whoever it was, and just have a little chat to them. And it's amazing the things that you find out, seeing what's going, or look at the notice boards and so forth.
Absolutely.
So it's brilliant. No, it's a very exciting time. And it's great that, you know, you guys actually want to host this, because I know this is a big undertaking for you to do this. This is not a small initiative.
Bless you.
Well, I think everyone marvels at the organizational prowess of Jackie and your and your team. It's some undertaking.
It is, yeah.
It is, but do you know what? It's really, really rewarding, the impact that it has on people. And I always look at it as I am a people person. I think everybody knows that. But I think, making sure that the entrants and the finalists have the right experience, making sure that the judges have the right experience, so that they do want to come back year after year, and that I get the same response that I've had this week, which has been lovely. That Moira has everything that she needs to do the role to the best of her ability and to be as involved as she wants to be. And not forgetting the sponsors and the media partners as well, who we just couldn't do these without. So it's kind of, making sure that a bit like we talked about, before, where we're talking about the colleagues and the customers, and making sure that it's right for everybody. But, these awards are really special. And I think we've already talked about it. People refer to them as the Oscars. That's no small sort of accolade to kind of keep and to keep up now. So yeah, it's we're really proud of these awards. We are really, really proud of them. And this year is looking like another very, very, very exciting programme. I mean, they close next Friday, so there's still a week to get entries in. It's not too late. It's really easy to put an entry in. It doesn't need to take masses and masses of time. If you're doing something good, you should just be able to put it down on the form without too much, without too much thinking. So yeah, you go onto our ECCCSA website, you go onto the portal. If you've not already got an account, you register. It's really, really easy. You answer some sort of straightforward questions about you and your organisation, and your details, email address, phone number, so we can get hold of you, etc. And then you're into the crux of the questions, depending on what the category is. And that's it. So the deadline is midnight next Friday, 19th July. I've already started having those emails. Oh, can we just have a couple more weeks? No, sorry, you can't. We never, ever, ever extend the deadline. So I know some other awards programs do, but we don't. We don't believe that it's fair to the people that have met the deadline. And to be honest, our timelines don't afford us that luxury, because we're straight into the shortlisting, sending the entries out to the online panel of judges that have said that they will do shortlisting for us. And then we get those results and those outcomes of that, and we announce the finalists mid-August. And then we're straight into judging September and October. And before you know it, we're at the dinner at Evolution in London, in Battersea Park, which is the most amazing venue. And before you know it, we are there at the end of November. So we won't be extending the deadline, is what I'm trying to say there. So if you do want to put entries in, then make sure you do by midnight next Friday. And if you've already started your entries or put them in, you can carry on editing them till midnight next Friday. So you can put them in on Monday, Tuesday next week, Wednesday, Thursday, whenever you want. The one that the judges will look at is the one that's on record at midnight next Friday.
Fantastic.
And Moira, do you think what would you say to companies that are maybe they're listening to this and they're thinking, should we go for it? Should we not go for it? What would you say to them?
Oh gosh, I would say absolutely go for it, because you've truly got nothing to lose. You know, as we said before, even if you don't actually even get shortlisted or whatever, the process of going through it will so set you up well for a future time when you do want to go for it, or even just understanding your business more. I think one of the things I find massively frustrating in all the work that I do, because I teach on our MBA program, I do a lot of executive education and so on and so forth, and consultancy work in my own right. But one of the things I find so frustrating is not enough people put a stake in the ground. They don't assess, where are we now and where do we want to go? And as Jackie said before, we're all running at, 1,000 miles an hour, as it were. So we don't stop and reflect. And this process really helps you do that. It helps you stop and reflect, think, where we are now? What are our achievements? What should we be shouting about? As Jackie also said, you then get some of those probing questions from the judges and you think, oh, I really should have done that. Next time we've absolutely got to nail that. I mean, I can think of some really famous companies that have been through this process and have actually then seriously nailed it the next time around because of the questions they've had from the judges. So I would say, please go for it. As Jackie says, put it in early. You can still edit it. And what have you got to lose? You've got nothing to lose. But what you will do then, and this sounds a bit naff, and I don't mean that, but you're going to join a fantastic community where you will learn so much from so many other people and from the judges as well as each other.
Absolutely.
It's such a great point. Even yesterday, I was getting messages from people who and maybe you don't often appreciate this because you're in it and you're organizing it, but outside of that, this is like a lighthouse within our industry. These are key dates where people are saying, oh, it'd be great to catch up, and if I don't see you before, I'll see you at the X's, and are you a media partner, are you judging? And there's all these other conversations that happen around what you've done with these awards. It's become a key thing that we look at in the year and go, great, we'll see you there in November. So well done to you guys, because and again, it is that sense of community. If at any point you've been in this process, it's like earning your stripes, right? You kind of go, yeah, I know what it's like, and there is nothing to lose through becoming a part of this community by entering. There's so many different categories. Did you say 34?
Yeah, so we don't open with 34, but obviously we think we'll end up at about that number. So something like best place to work, that might end up as being split into small organizations and large organizations, or just depends on if we think that, or if the judges think, not me, I'm not a judge, I'm just the organizer behind it all. But if the judges, I don't know, I'm going to make the numbers up, but if you've got 100 nominations for a category and you're trying to get it down to 10 and you think, well, we're just going to lose far too many, and it's not 100, I'm making the numbers up. But, if you think that we're going to lose far too many good entries, then we'll split it into two so that there's two categories, so that all the entries that should be going through to the shortlist go through. So that's where we will break out and split categories up. Equally, if there aren't enough credible entries for a category, then we'll look at, we're not just going to go ahead with a category, because if it's not enough, it's got to be credible. So that's where Moira, as chair of judges, and the judges come in, because it's got to be, fair for all, and really robust. And I know I've said it before, but I really pride myself on the robustness and the fairness behind the judging process. And I know that I had a couple of judges joined the jury last year that were winners from the previous year, because they make fantastic judges. And they said, gosh, we didn't have any idea that like all this went on behind the scenes, because obviously we briefed the judges, and the paperwork that we give them and the guidance that we give them and everything. And they were, you know, that for me kind of, I was like, that's really good, because they absolutely know that they didn't just win, you know, they absolutely get now what's behind it all. So yeah, and you're right about that, that whole community outside of, because what day am I on? I'm on Thursday. Yeah, no, sorry. So it was last Thursday, I was lucky enough to go over and host a visit at the Lego Group in Berlin. And they won Best Pan-European Contact Centre last year. And so they opened their doors up to any of the CCMA in the UK members, but also our association partners across Europe. They invited their members as well as part of the new ECCA sort of group that we are now, that they invited them in. So I went and hosted that visit. And again, it was that kind of, the trophies over there, Jackie, in the cabinet. And as you walk round the contact centre, they have like a timeline on their wall of, you know, when Duplo bricks were first introduced, and when the Braille was introduced, and when this was introduced, and that, and whatever. And there was these points on it of where they'd won certain awards, you know, and they don't go for it every year, because they only go when they've got something good to tell, when they've done a really good piece of work or whatever. And so it was just lovely to see that again, because I don't always get to see that, what it means from within, you know. And they were like, oh, this is Jackie, she's here from the ECCA Awards, you know. And it was just so nice to see it, how it's been received from them, you know. That was lovely. So yeah, that was last week.
I think that's something I'd really like to just pick up on, if I may, Jackie, because I wouldn't be doing this role either if it wasn't that I really approve of the robustness of your awards, because people obviously do come up with different awards from time to time. And I think I wouldn't want to be involved with something that I didn't think wasn't fair, impartial, and robust. And I know you've got a superb, robust process. So I'm really very happy to be involved in that. I'm also really looking forward to actually meeting the judges. I hope I can get to meet as many of them as possible, which would be great. And maybe as quite a number of entrants, which should be good.
Yeah, I'll make sure that you do, Moira.
Thank you.
And Moira, you mentioned something earlier around the importance of our colleagues, employees in everything that we do around delivering, you know, service to customers and customer experience. I think there's something in this, and if we're talking to contact center leaders right now, to take the moment to stop and think how going into the award, just going into it, regardless of whether you win or not, is giving something to your employees, is recognizing what they are doing is worthy of attention.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more with you, Martin. I think that's exactly right. And to celebrate their successes, you know, in the work that I've done in this whole area, one of the things that I find drives business performance better than anyone else, and actually it's not necessarily employee engagement, strangely enough, because what the work that we've done shows very much that the higher the employee engagement score, we've got to have that, but often it negatively impacts customer experience. And you go, hang on a minute, Moira, that doesn't really seem right. Well, it's because people so love their job, they kind of forget about the customer. Life would be great if it wasn't for the customer, you know. But what we find really does drive business performance actually is what I call warmth and support, cohesion, socializing, working as a team, those things that really matter. And this awards is a great opportunity to do all that, you know, recognizing what people have done, to celebrate some of those successes, but to really show that you care about the team and that you can work together with this kind of common goal. It's a cohesion, pulling together with a common purpose, like let's win the awards, is a really powerful thing to do in an organization. And I think enough don't do it. And if you don't have that cohesion in a positive sense, what can happen is, we've discovered in our work again, is you end up with a common enemy. And the common enemy, let me tell you, can sometimes, in the poor performing companies, the common enemy can sometimes be the customers and the senior managers. And it would be great if it wasn't for that with them, you know. So to stop that, we don't want any of that. What we want is successful companies who want to have cohesion around a common goal, which is providing fabulous service ultimately.
I love that. That's very insightful. So Jackie, can you? This has been brilliant, but can you just remind people then of the key dates? So they've got until next Friday, which is what date? What date is that?
19th of July,
Thank you.
midnight on the 19th of July, next Friday, to submit entries. We'll be announcing the shortlist on the 21st of August. And then we will be coming out with arrangements of the judging. So I think the panel dates are end of September and the first 2 weeks in October. And then, yeah, the dinner at Evolution is in November, the end of November. And so that is all, you know, brilliant. I just wanted just to go back to that point, Martin, if I may, that Moira just made there about that sort of collaboration piece, because I recorded a webinar back in May that's still available on the website if anybody wants to go back and watch it with a view to putting entries in. And one of the things that I say there is that you can print off the entry form and go and talk to different stakeholders within the business, you know, whether you're asking for their input into the entry or whether you're saying, will you read this and make sure that it makes sense? And I think that, you know, that's the, like Moira said there, that key piece about all working together for the same goal. And if you play that through to the judging that I just talked about there at the end of September and into October, is, you know, don't forget to include the right people in your presentation to the judges. Very often what the judges' feedback is, it was great that you had all your senior managers on there, but what we needed to hear from was the people. Or you say, well, it was great that we heard from the outsourcer, but where was the client? Or it was great that we heard from the client, but where was the technology partner? So make sure that all those people are involved in the nomination and in the judging, because that comes across really strong with the judges. So sorry, because I know that you asked me about the dates, but I just couldn't help but throw that in, because I think that is really helpful from my experience of working with judges.
No, it's a really, really good point, and it's an exciting time of the year. I love it when we start going into this process. I think it kind of gets everyone to raise their game a little bit, and it's great, Moira, that you are the chair of the judges. I think you're going to bring loads to this process. Just your insight and your experience alone is going to benefit everyone. So thank you very much for doing it. And thank you both for coming on Get Out of Rap. Look forward to catching up maybe within the process, perhaps.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And if not before, on Tuesday, the 26th of November at Evolution in Battersea Park, Martin, with lots of other people. Thanks as always, Martin, for this great interview this morning. And thank you for putting us both at ease and making it such an enjoyable conversation. Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you
Bye.
soon. Bye.